Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending upon when you are watching this video lecture. In the earlier sessions, we discussed about the theory of demand or law of demand. Also, how to determine the price elasticity of demand by using different methods, including formula directly being applied, percentage of change in quantity demanded divided by percentage of change in price. That can be used as a formula for calculating the elasticity of demand, that is price elasticity of demand. Same way, point elasticity method can be used, arc elasticity method can be used, and even though there is no calculation that is possible, but we can identify the tendency of the price elasticity of demand by using total expenditure method or total outlay method, or even sometimes we can call it total revenue method, whatever the name called. So that's a very important aspect. Total expenditure method also can be used for understanding what is the tendency of the price elasticity of demand. Is it going to be greater than 1 or equal to 1 or less than 1? Greater than 1 definitely means such product is relatively more elastic. Equal to 1 means it is unitary elastic. Less than 1 means it is relatively less elastic. That tendency can be found out by using total expenditure method, as we discussed in the earlier session. These are all technically very important aspects whatever we have discussed so far in this chapter. The questions actually will come mostly from those aspects, including the computational aspects of price elasticity of demand. Now today let us continue the discussion on what are the determinants of the demand, what factors will have an impact on the elasticity of demand. Of course, we know that there will be price elasticity of demand for many products. Some products may have high elasticity, some products may have low elasticity, but definitely in general there will be some price elasticity of demand. But the question is how that price elasticity of demand is measured. That is what we calculated earlier by using formula. But now what we are going to understand is why this price elasticity of demand first of all occurs. So what we already understood is how. How is what we already discussed about. And now what we are going to consider is why. What factors will determine this price elasticity of demand? Let us understand that. So what happened is how already, that was the earlier discussion, means how to measure the price elasticity of demand. That was earlier. How? Okay. Now it is why what we are discussing, means why first of all price elasticity of demand as a tendency will occur. In other words, what factors will impact this price elasticity of demand? So we are going to the root causes of the price elasticity of demand. Of course, because of these causes, the price elasticity of demand can be as usual high or low, whatever it may be. It may be high also, it may be low also. But because of these factors, it could happen. What are those factors? Let us understand them one by one. Logically, we can just understand these are all mostly conceptual things, generic things rather than very technical. The aspects what we discussed already were more technical compared to this. Here we can just use some common sense and examples for understanding what factors might influence the price elasticity of demand to be either high or low. What makes it high or what makes it low? Simple logic. One by one, let us go through them. These points of determinants of price elasticity of demand. So what are the determinants of price elasticity of demand? The first one is availability of substitutes. Understand the name itself, that will tell us. We don't need very deep technical discussion on that. It is a very common thing, logical thing. Availability of substitutes. Now tell me, if at all there is a availability of substitutes, will the price elasticity be more or less? Will it be more or less is the question. If the availability of substitutes is there, then naturally the price elasticity of such a product will be more. It will be more when if the availability of substitutes is more. It will not be less. Why that happens? Logic, common sense. Once again, you can understand that. So it will be more here, but not less. So when the availability of substitutes is there, definitely the price elasticity is going to be more. Why is that? Simple logic. If you have close substitutes, very close substitutes, then if there is any small increase, let us say in one of those substitutes, immediately without any blink, you will just shift to the closest substitute which is available at a cheaper price. Means what? Even for a smaller increase in the change or smaller increase in the price, the demand for the original product will be drastically reducing. That means the elasticity is more in case where the availability of substitutes is there. That is one example we can just take, like any commodities, like let us say cool drinks particularly. Let us say, just for example, let us say there is Pepsi also and there is Coca-Cola also, both are available in the market. Imagine for the same quantity of a small 300 ml bottle of Pepsi, whatever the amount is charged, and for the same quantity, if at all, the Coca-Cola is charging more amount, if at all. Actually they don't, because they know also economics, they are all big companies, they will have all the people who understand economics. So generally if you observe, there will not be much difference between the prices of the cool drinks. Why is that? Because of this, because they are close substitutes. But just we are taking an example. What if, let us say, normally for some one bottle of Pepsi or Coca-Cola, normally the price is, let us say just for imagination purposes, 15 rupees each. That is the original price. Then there is no problem, that is common, there is no issue with that. But the issue is, let us say Coca-Cola has increased this price by 2 rupees. So now instead of 15 rupees, the Coke has become 17 rupees. If that happened, what happens is, people just blindly don't choose Coca-Cola, they go for Pepsi. And they will select 15 rupees product which is available. Why is that? Why that happens? Most of the people will do that. Some of you may say that, sir, no, sir, I don't like Pepsi, I like only Coca-Cola, I will not choose. Exceptions apart. Exceptions will always be there. But most of the people, most of the public, most of the consumers will shift from Coca-Cola to Pepsi because the price of the Pepsi is cheaper and the Coca-Cola has become costlier. So why is this happening? Understand this. Why is this happening? Because these two are close substitutes. Same thing could happen between 7-Up and Sprite. Same thing could happen between Maaza and Fruity. Like that, any close substitutes, there is no much difference between them. There is no speciality between in one product compared to the another product. If that is the case, the price elasticity will be very more. So even though there is a small increase in the price of any one of them, so people will just not buy that costly product. They will shift from this product to the cheaper product. So what happens? The price elasticity of this product will be very high. That's what we can say. When can we say high? Simply speaking, whenever there is a small change, then the change in demand is high. That's what happened, right? There is a small change in the price, but the demand that is related to Coca-Cola will change drastically, will change dramatically, because most of the people will shift from consumption of this to that, because this is available cheaper. If you can just take an example in a reverse way, let us say suddenly Pepsi gives a discount offer of 2 rupees. Then also the same thing can happen. People will shift from Coke to Pepsi because still Coke is costly and Pepsi is cheaper. So whether there is an increase or decrease in price, naturally, according to that change, the quantity demanded will also change. But how it changes? It changes very drastically. And why this happens? Since these products are very close substitutes. So more closer the substitutes are, then the price elasticity of those products will be higher. If there are no close substitutes for the product, generally the price elasticity will be lower. So let us look at one of the very classic examples here. That is the best example you can say. Salt. What is a substitute for salt? Is there any substitute for salt? No, sir. There is no substitute for salt. Salt means salt only. You have to use salt only. There is no option. So what does it mean? It means the price elasticity of demand of salt will be very low. In fact, even with an example we have seen since the beginning of this chapter. We have taken 3 examples: radio, wheat, and salt. In that, of course, radio was having higher price elasticity. Wheat was having relatively lesser price elasticity. Salt was almost like zero, near to zero. 0.04 something was the price elasticity, which means almost negligible price elasticity. Again, why is that? Reason we are talking. How and all we calculated earlier using various formulae. Why that happens? Why is that? Is because salt does not have any close substitutes. Salt does not have any substitutes. If it has a substitute, then the price elasticity will be high. Since salt cannot be substituted with any other product, brands are different, but the product salt cannot be substituted with any other product. So that is why the price elasticity of salt will be very less, which means even though there is a decrease in price of the salt, let us say next day there is a decrease in the price of the salt, 50% discount. If salt is available, are you going to buy more salt and eat it? How is it going to be happening? Never, nobody is going to eat salt just because the price is low. So even if the price has become low, people will not eat more. Even if the price has become high, people cannot consume less just because of that. So they will still use salt as part of one of the ingredients of their cooking. So that is a very, very, I would say, least price elastic product. That will be very, very less price elastic product. Because why? That is fact. But why? Because it has no close substitute. When substitutes are there, price elasticity will be high. When substitutes are not there, then the price elasticity will be low. So in this example, we can say examples wise, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, if you consider them as substitute, they will have a high price elasticity of demand. Salt, since it does not have any much close substitute, they will have less price elasticity of demand. Okay, that is one of the examples of this, you can say, availability of substitutes and how that impacts the price elasticity of demand. Whether availability of substitutes is having an impact on the price elasticity? Yes. How? If the substitutes are available, then the elasticity is going to be high. If the substitutes are not available, then the elasticity is going to be naturally very low. On the other side, you can take other examples like soaps, toothpaste and all. They will have price elasticity high. Why? Because they have very close substitutes. So you can use the soaps also very, very commonly interchangeably. So shampoos, soaps, toothpaste. We can popularly call all these products as fast moving consumer goods, popularly known as FMCG. Fast moving consumer goods. Since they have very close substitutes, most of the cases, the FMCG products have very close substitutes. That is why their price elasticity will be high. Naturally, their demands will be highly dependent upon price. Classic example can be taken Indian case only. Indian case, for example, in India, FMCG products mostly, of course, there are many companies. We cannot just generalize them, but mostly are between two companies. One is Procter and Gamble. That is one of the companies which has been there since British times, and another company that was earlier called Unilever, Hindustan Unilever. Now it is just called Unilever Limited. So let us just call Unilever. So Procter and Gamble and Unilever are the two biggest FMCG companies which will sell the products. Of course, in addition to that, there is Colgate-Palmolive. There are other companies like ITC now into this field of FMCG. It has a considerable market share. I'm not going into all the brands which are in the FMCG, but major giants in this market, actually not only in India, throughout the world also, these two are the biggest FMCG companies, we can say, even throughout the world, Procter & Gamble and Unilever Limited. So these two companies were having almost majority of the market share earlier. Now, when certain products like Patanjali as a brand, Ramdev Baba's brand has been introduced. So that brand has been introduced at a very lower prices compared to these prices of the products of Procter & Gamble or Unilever. So the soap, if they had a neem soap, Patanjali also had a neem soap. If they had any soap made of sandalwood, Patanjali also had a soap made of sandalwood. Like this, if they say aloe vera, Patanjali will also say aloe vera. So the way people just understand, there is a neem soap here, which is made of neem, as they are saying. We don't know what it is made of, but at least as they are saying, if it is made of neem, if it is available for 20 rupees here, if it is available for only 10 rupees here or 15 rupees here, naturally I'll go for this because the product is available cheaper. But what these persons are claiming is almost more or less the same kind of ingredients. So people sometimes may not be really keen on the actual ingredients for certain products. So that is the area where the Patanjali could actually understand the market dynamics, and they understood price elasticity of demand for these products will be very high. So if we can make them reasonable quality products, because Ramdev Baba became successful, if somebody else wants to start this, it might not become successful. Of course, there is a brand of a person as well as the Patanjali name, which has been popular in India since some time. Both helped in increasing the market share of this brand. Of course, that has increased drastically in the beginning. Later on, again, it stabilized, and now it is on almost a stabilized mode, not much on the growth mode. But this feat itself was unimaginable because we are talking about giants, global giants like Procter and Gamble, Unilever, and all, and having a tucker with them, having a direct head-on with them, and being able to at least capture a reasonable percentage of the market happened because of many reasons. I'm not saying only one or two reasons. There could be many reasons, whatever the reasons may be, social, political, etc., religious, spiritual, whatever the reasons they could be, without going into them. But in spite of all those reasons, imagine if Patanjali products were equally priced with the Procter and Gamble or Unilever products, 100% they would have become flop. Why? Because of price elasticity of demand and because they are substitutes with each other. When they are substitutes, the price elasticity of demand will be high. So if at all anybody wants to get more demand for their products, the only way is to keep their prices low when they have a very close substitutes. That is a very basic fundamental thing. Substitutes and availability of substitutes will make the price elasticity of demand of a product to be high. That's what is first point. That is availability of substitutes. Then going on to the second point, in general, this also could be one of the factors that might influence the price elasticity of demand. Position of a commodity in a consumer's budget. You can take any examples like a normal household. Normal household, if you take in this, say common salt, matches, buttons, etc., are they like having a huge portion in the normal monthly budget? Monthly, anybody is going to spend, any family is going to spend 30% of their income on salt and matchboxes and like that? Definitely not. Means what? These are all having a very low place in the consumer's budget. Low place does not mean they are not important. Low place does not mean not important. Salt is very important. But still, it is not so highly expensive that it occupies a huge important position in a consumer's budget. Consumer's budget means the normal consumer's monthly expenditure pattern, we can say. In that, the common salt and all, etc., will not have a huge role to play, which means they are not going to be much important for a consumer in his monthly expenditure. So naturally, what happens because of that reason? What happens? The consumer will not be really bothered about any increase in the prices of these things. Even if there is an increase in price, also he will not have much of problem to buy them because still they are very cheap. And another thing is, even if there is a decrease in price, let us say, just for example, say matchboxes. Normally, 1 rupee matchboxes discount offer is there, 25% discount on matchboxes, like that. Any company arranges some advertisement campaign. Are you going to just buy matchboxes and use them just for wow? What are you going to use them? Useless. So nobody is going to just buy matchboxes just because they are available free, even free also, even they are available very lower price also. So examples wise, if you take, these are the ones which are very cheap. They occupy a very small position in the consumer's budget, which means they are highly, simply speaking, inelastic. They are inelastic because the consumer doesn't care about their price. Even if there is a price increase also, he will not reduce the consumption. Even if there is a price decrease also, he is not going to increase the consumption of these things. These are all very small things like buttons, matches, and salt, etc. These type of products are having a very low, small position in a consumer's budget. On the other hand, other side of it, if you like, let us say, which have a good portion of the income is spent, if that is there on them, like for example clothing. If at all a middle class family wants to buy clothes, is it going to buy every month? Generally speaking, generally no. Okay, high class people, maybe some rich people might say that buying clothes, they have a fashionable name for it, they call it shopping. So what are you doing? What are your hobbies? I mean, I sometimes get surprised. Some of the CVs, some students and some people send, chartered accountants also, some of them, for jobs. So, like normally, in our biodata, resume, CV, whatever you call it, you have to write certain personal things like, what are your preferences, hobbies, and all. I observed sometimes, and I get shocked. Some people write, "What is your hobby?" Means shopping. Shopping. How can it be hobby, sir? Shopping means you go and buy certain things when you need them. Just like that. Just like that. Suddenly, okay, I feel like shopping. I go for shopping. Maybe yes. That some people might be there who are all maybe rich and ultra rich, or who at least feel that they are rich and ultra rich, and it is their hobby to do shopping. Can't help them. Keeping those things apart, those type of people apart, those will be there always in any society. So let us not focus on them. But in general, common people, common public definitely cannot do that. Shopping as a hobby. Shopping is not a hobby. Reading book can be a hobby. Playing some game can be a hobby. Shopping is a need-based thing. If you need something, you go for shopping. If you don't need anything, you don't do shopping. As simple as that. But anyway, some people have this variety hobbies. So keeping them apart, normally buying clothes is not a hobby. Buying clothes is not something which might happen even every month also. So in a monthly consumer's budget, will there be a portion allotted to the buying clothes? Generally, no. Maybe once in 2 months, once in 3 months, depending once again on the financial status of the family. Some people may have the affordability of buying clothes only on festivals. Some people may have the affordability of buying clothes only once or twice a year. Some people may not have that also. The periodicity of buying some clothes, new clothes, and wearing them is not going to be just there for everybody as the same. So a lot of differences will be there. So, but ultimately, one point for sure is what? It is not something, buying clothes is not something that everybody does automatically in a monthly budget. So it is something which has to be planned normally by a middle class family. Sometimes like birthdays, occasions, festivals, some for attending some functions. Then only generally people go and buy clothes. Generally. So when while doing so, their that month's budget will get disturbed. So that month, if at all, their basic necessities are all other necessities are all not fulfilled, if at all, then they will postpone the buying of clothes also. Which means what? Generally, the demand for the goods like clothing will be elastic. It will be price elastic. So if there is a offer, that is the reason. If you observe, majority of the shops which will always have discount throughout the year 365 days. What are those shops? Just imagine. Those all shops are cloth shops only. That brothers, these brothers, XYZ brothers, ABC brothers. We have so many of them, right? So all these people, again, South India shopping mall, Chennai shopping mall, Bangalore shopping mall, Bombay shopping mall, like that. I don't know what names are there. Too many shopping malls are there. Too much of clothing industry is there. The different brands are there within that. Whatever it is, but ultimately they have a lot of presence in the retail segment of the market, no doubt about it. That is that we have to accept. But on the other side, these are the same people who always give discounts. They will always say some special month has come, Ashad Masam discounts. They will tell, okay, we feel that okay, Ashad Masam means only Ashad Masam only they may give discount. After that, suddenly they say Ugadi sale. They say okay, maybe Ugadi festival, so they are giving discount. We say after that, suddenly they say sometime, occasionally, suddenly they will come out and say like Diwali sale, Dhamaka sale. They will tell something. They will tell something. They will come out with some new thing, but ultimately they want a discount. Are they really giving a discount or not is a different story. People are stupid, so they make use of that stupidity for projecting that as if they are giving a discount. That is a different story. But the point is not that. The point is not about the supplier. The point is about the customer. From a customer point of view, why does a customer always look for a discount? Why does he want to really have a product available for him cheap? That's what a customer always wants. If he has that much of concern towards that product, if he has that much of interest towards that product, then definitely he might not be really interested in having this discount or something. So let us take these two classic examples here. Simply speaking, did you ever hear there is a discount on salt? Ever? Have you ever seen? Okay, now Tata Salt, normally 20 rupees, available for 18 rupees only. Like that, did you ever see that any advertisement like that? I have not seen any advertisement like that. Even if it was there, it would be for some other purpose. Maybe it is getting expired or something, they want to throw it. Other than that, definitely not that they want the people to buy more salt because of a lesser price. So what does it indicate is the question. What does it indicate? Salt is a less elastic product. But where you see always discount, discount, discount. Products like clothing, always you see that discount only will run. Always discount. Again, not going into the reality of discount and all that. They are not real. Common sense. Anybody having common sense will know that. but general public always, most of the people generally might not have it, so they like it. So not from supplier's point of view, from a consumer point of view, what attracts them is that discount. Why it attracts them is the question. Why it attracts them? Because this product is price elastic. If there is a lesser reduction in the price of that product, then only the customer will be interested to buy that. If there is no reduction in the price of that product, the customer is not interested in buying that. And why is that happening? Because generally the customers will spend a good part of their income on clothing. Most of the people I am talking. So for them, clothing is not that easy to just like that spend every month on food, every month on paying rent, just like that every month on clothing. No, every month nobody will spend on clothing in general. So clothing is an extra expenditure for a household, that we should understand. Monthly expenditure, routine recurring expenditure is one part. You have to pay telephone bills, current bills, flat maintenance, all these things. Everybody has them. Rent, etc., etc., school fees for the kids and all. These are all monthly things everybody will spend. But where particularly there is a special need like clothing, that is not part of the monthly budget. That is an extra thing. So the position of this commodity in a consumer's budget is not low, it is high. Whereas the position of a let us say buying of a salt in a consumer's budget, that commodity like salt is very low. So where the position of a commodity in the consumer's budget is low, then elasticity also will be low. Where the position of a commodity in a consumer's budget is high, then elasticity also will be high. That's what happens. Simple. So that also is a second factor we can understand. Another example can also be taken nowadays, particularly the construction sector, housing. Housing also, when there will be more demand. Housing will not have more demand when the prices are high. Housing will have more demand only when the prices of them are low relatively, and most importantly, the interest rates for the housing loans are low. Then only the demand for housing will increase. Why? Once again, it is because the position of a commodity in a consumer's budget in that case also is very high, because monthly EMIs you have to pay. If at all you buy a house by taking loan, that EMI plays a very big role in a consumer's budget monthly. So if that EMI gets reduced, how that EMI gets reduced? Only by reduction in interest rates. If interest rates get reduced, EMI get reduced. If EMIs get reduced, that expenditure which can afford, who can afford in a monthly budget, those number of customers will increase. So naturally those all will go for purchasing of new house properties. So that is how, when the interest rates are decreased, the demand for housing also will increase. Why? Once again, the reason is this only. The position of that commodity. What is that commodity there? House. And another commodity is like clothing. So there definitely, as a position of that commodity, if it is higher in the consumer's budget, the price elasticity also will be high. If it is lower in the consumer's budget, price elasticity also will be low. That is the second determinant of price elasticity of demand, we can say. Then other things are also very psychological in general. Nature and need of the commodity that satisfies. Like once again, say what kind of need that commodity satisfies. Same examples can be taken. Same examples. For example, generally the price elasticity will be high for which kind of goods? Luxury goods. Because they don't need to be really purchased for satisfying the basic needs of the consumers. So price elasticity will be high for them. Which means if the prices have increased, customers will not buy them. They will just postpone them. And if the prices are low, then they might get attracted to buying those luxury goods. But in general, the necessities are price inelastic. Once again, same thing like food, food and like salt and other things like vegetables, for example. Vegetables also, they are relatively price inelastic, less elastic they are. Why? Because they have to be anywhere required. So for example, like demand for television, if you take, that could be highly elastic, and other side, demand for food and housing and all generally can be inelastic. That is another thing also. As a matter of fact, the housing as a sentimental purchase in India being more, there also the people will be buying their houses even at a very higher prices in the market. irrespective of those prices are really reflective of the actual valuations or not, still at highest prices also, higher prices also, people will go for buying of houses and real estate. So in general, I'm not talking about only Indian context, in general, in the world context, the Indian real estate is considered to be overvalued. Why is that? Because here, even though it is overvalued, the demand will not reduce, because people having that sentimental value towards a house, they think that it is also part of it, which means they should have their own house, and that will make such products demand relatively inelastic, because they consider it having a own house is also a necessity. Having a house is necessity is one part. Having a own house is a necessity. That is a psychological factor. So that psychological factor and the kind of the need that some commodity satisfies will have an impact also on the price elasticity of demand. So in general, the conclusion can be here: luxury goods can be price elastic, comforts, luxuries can be price elastic, necessities are price inelastic, because necessities consumption cannot be postponed. Simple. That is why their price elasticity of demand is inelastic. Simple. So there is no price elasticity of demand much for necessities. Vegetables and all, we keep on complaining about them. Of course, not now. Generally, vegetable prices are increasing and all. But do we stop eating them? Generally, no. We still will eat them, because that is necessity. Even though they are little bit increased in their prices, we will go for definitely purchasing them, and because we have to consume them to survive. So those will be relatively less elastic. Once again, completely inelastic, completely elastic. Completely inelastic means price elasticity of demand is zero. Completely elastic, perfectly elastic means price elasticity of demand is infinity. And I told already, you need to keep that in mind. Practically, that is not possible. Though we just use the words very casually, inelastic and all, but practically there is nothing called completely inelastic. There is nothing called completely elastic. That is just impossible. But yeah, somewhere it will be more elastic, less elastic, highly elastic, very less elastic. These things could be there. But somewhere between definitely 0 to 1 or more than 1 will be there. This type of some elasticity will be there. Completely zero is not possible for practical purposes. So like that, if you say inelastic here, don't take it as literally. Inelastic here means less elastic, what I meant to say. What the essence of that we have to take. So nature of the need that a commodity satisfies, that will also have an impact on the price elasticity of demand. So if the nature is that of a necessity, then definitely the products will be inelastic. If the nature is not that of a necessity, then such products will be price elastic. That's it. That is the nature of the need that a commodity satisfies. That is also having an impact on the price elasticity of demand. Next, fourth determinant of price elasticity of demand can be the number of uses to which a commodity can be put, or we can call it as alternative uses of a commodity. If at all the commodity can be used alternatively, if at all, then the price elasticity will be higher. So the more the possible uses of a commodity, the greater will be its price elasticity, and vice versa. So what happens here? So when the price of a commodity which has multiple uses decreases, people tend to extend their consumption to the other uses also. So particularly, I think we took this example also. When there is more possible uses of a commodity, the price elasticity also will be higher. So take this example, like earlier also we have taken this. Say for example, the electricity prices have reduced drastically. See, normally electricity we use only for running our household appliances and all that. A television, refrigerator, washing machine, microwave oven, like that. So whatever air conditioners, these things only at homes we use electricity normally for that, fans, tube lights, etc. But the point is, imagine if the electricity prices are reduced further drastically, lot of reduction is there in the electricity prices, then we might shift from the gas cooking to electrical cooking also. Means there is one use which we are using for normally household appliances purposes. We may extend the use of electricity for cooking also. If it is further cheaper, if it is available that much, maybe we can extend it for the purpose of transport also, means buying the electric vehicles. Pollution is one part. That is the reason also why people buy electric vehicles. But if electricity is available cheaper at a lower prices, then also that can be used as a fuel instead of petrol and diesel. So that can become a substitute. See, already this is useful for our normal household or commercial purposes, industrial purposes, household purposes, commercial purposes. We use them for factories and everything. This is used electricity. That is fine. But if the price is becoming lesser and lesser, the usage will increase. So that can be same thing can be used for other purposes also. Say for cooking also, this can become a substitute to cooking gas. For transport also, this can become a substitute to petrol and diesel. Possible. When the price of that product reduces, generally that might happen. And why that price of the product reduces is a different story. That could be because of alternative uses of technology, availability of more production than the demand that is there. Many reasons could be there because of which this happens. That is next level. We have to understand why it happens. But our job here is to know, okay, price has reduced. Fine. Price has reduced. If the price has reduced, what is the impact on the elasticity of demand of that product? Is it going to be more elastic or less elastic? If that product has multiple uses like this, it will be more elastic because people start consuming it more for not only one purpose, but for many purposes. They will be using the same commodity, which means that will be having a greater price elasticity. When more possible uses are there, automatically the price elasticity also will be greater will be the price elasticity, and of course vice versa also will apply. Means what? If a product cannot be used, salt for example, okay, tell me other purposes of salt. Okay, we know that nowadays toothpaste also has salt. We can use salt for brushing also. That is okay. That has been a classic understanding of the usage of salt. Mostly, though we talk about all these things, generally nobody uses salt as a tooth powder. Nowadays, we are using toothpastes and powders only, if at all. So mostly salt is not used. So keep that discussion apart. Other than just for cooking, what could be the other use for the salt in general? Not much. It could be very limited in its usage. So means what? Once again, the price elasticity of that salt will be very less. Salt has a very classic example here. All of the purposes, it is almost matching. Here, it has no close substitute. Because of that, price elasticity will be very low. Second, the position of salt in a consumer's budget is very low. So that is why that is also very highly inelastic. Of course, the nature of the need that commodity satisfies is also a necessity. Salt is a necessity. Definitely, everybody requires that in cooking. So that also is making it price inelastic. Now, number of uses that commodity can be put, there also it is having less number of uses. Ultimately, it has to be used in some eating or drinking purposes only, which means that is only some kind of a food item. Other than that, not much of uses are there for the same product, which means the commodity is not having multiple uses. If you take any one of the commodities, in general, that might have multiple uses. Like for example, we have taken electricity. It can be used for household appliances also, industrial, commercial purposes, or it can be used for cooking also. It can be used for transportation also as a fuel. So many uses are there in that case. Then naturally the price elasticity will be greater. Products like salt which have no much alternative uses, there the price elasticity will be lower, which means those are relatively price inelastic. Which ones? When they have multiple uses, the price elasticity will be higher. When they will be relatively price inelastic, when they have less number of uses or only one use which doesn't have much of the other uses, then their price elasticity will be lower. So one example here is taken, like milk for example has several uses. Directly it can be consumed or it can be used for preparation of many things, curd, cream, ghee, sweets, or any other things like buttermilk, etc., lassi, everything. All of them can paneer, everything can come from milk only. So there are multiple uses are there. So naturally what happens here, that could be definitely having a higher price elasticity. In other words, if the price of the milk is low, people will buy it more. They will not drink all of that. No. Rather, some of that portion they will drink as milk, some of that portion they will use for curd, some of the portion they will convert that into cream, ghee or paneer or something else, or they will make rasagulla from that. Whatever they do, but they do different purposes of the milk they will use when the price of the milk is lower. Imagine the price of the milk has increased too much. Too much it has increased. So then people will stop using that product for other purposes. They will restrict it, maybe only, for example, just for feeding the children, or only just to survive. The core purpose of using it for chai, coffee, and just for children to have some milk, only to that extent, or maybe to the sick persons. Like that, they might restrict the usage. When the price of that product is very high, if at all it is very high, if it is unaffordable, that much level if it reaches, then definitely the people will stop using that product for other purposes. The luxurious purposes like making rasgulla from that and all may be reduced. So there the problem will be that the demand for milk will also reduce because it is price elastic. If the milk is having a reasonable price, at a lower price if it is available, since it has multiple uses, people will use it for its fullest extent. They use it for normal drinking of milk also, they use it for chai, coffee also, they use it for curd, cream, buttermilk, lassi, ghee, paneer, kova, whatnot, everything, doodh peda, everything that will come from this only. So ultimately they use it for all the purposes that it can be used. Means demand for milk will be more. When the price is relatively lesser, then demand will be more. Why is that happening? What happens is everybody knows. There is nothing new in this. All these things are all we know them. In the society, we know very well how the people behave. If the Pepsi and Coca-Cola prices are so much very near to each other, why is that is what we are talking. They are near to each other, that we know. Why is that? Because they are so close substitutes. If any one product has just a little bit lesser price also, people will immediately shift to that product, and none of them want that. Both are being competitors. They don't want their product to be demanded less. That is why they don't increase the prices much. If they do also, they both of them increase at the same time. And you can observe that also. If one of them offers a 20% discount, other also offers a 20% discount. So if one of them gives a little bit of a scheme or something, other also gives a scheme. So they always try to keep everything more or less same. Why that? Why is that? All that because they are substitutes, very close substitutes. That is an example of that. Same way, if the position of a commodity in a consumer's budget is a high position, then naturally the elasticity of such products will be high. If it is a low position, then the elasticity of such products will be low. If the need that the commodity satisfies is that of a necessity, then that product will be relatively less elastic. If it is that of a comfort or luxury, then it will be relatively more elastic. Same way, if the product can be used for multiple uses, alternate uses, if it has, then the price elasticity of such product will be higher. If a product does not have much of alternate uses, then the price elasticity will be lower. Then the next one, time period. This is one more general factor. We cannot really take it to actually technical factor, but yes, because it is there, let us just go through that. So generally, what is the time period that happens? So generally the time period, if there is that is longer, then people can adjust. They can adjust. For example, let us say there is a high petrol price. Let us say in the short run, what happens? People might immediately react to these high petrol prices by having a fewer trips by car. But slowly over a period of time, slowly in the longer run, they will have not only making fewer trips, but they can purchase a car with a smaller engine capacity. So when the time comes for replacing the existing one. So the point is, once demand for petrol falls by more, when one has made a long-term adjustment to higher prices. That is a conclusion here for time period. So that means what? Normally when there is a possibility of adjusting by having a lesser trips because of a higher price, that they will do in the short run. But in the long run, that will not have any impact. So here in the short run, the demand for petrol falls more. There it falls more than when somebody has a possibility of making some long-term adjustment. If you have a possibility of making a long-term adjustment, then the demand will not be impacted much. But in the short run, the demand will be impacted much because immediate reaction of the people will be that for a higher price. That's what happens. So in the longer run, definitely that will change. Or otherwise you can say Let us say nowadays, of course, there is no much difference between petrol and diesel. Both are having more or less similar prices. But imagine, just example. Let us say the petrol price is very low and the diesel price is now. From now onwards, let us say there is a change in the policy of the government going backwards 30 years. Say now let us say the diesel prices are very low in future and very low, and petrol prices are going to be very high. There is going to be a huge difference. Let us say, if that is going to happen, if that happens, immediately people will definitely cannot have much change in their demand. But over a period of time, slowly what they will do, they will shift from petrol cars to diesel cars. Why? Because the availability of that is low. That is one of the reasons why we still have in India petrol cars and diesel cars separately. But if the prices difference is not that much, if both are having more or less the same prices, then there is no point in having two types of cars. Both the cars will be having same kind of demand, because people don't differentiate between a petrol car and diesel car if that price difference between petrol and diesel is not much. So that is one of the reasons also slowly in India the petrol car production is normal, but diesel car production is decreasing. Why is that? Since there is no much difference between petrol price and diesel price. So people's reaction ultimately point again and again, we have to go back to the core. What is the core? Core is all revolving around price, sir. That is what we are talking about. Everything in the market, whatever the tendencies we are talking, there will be hundreds of factors. We are not telling that price is the only factor, but in spite of all those 100 factors, the core factor, the hero of this entire market is who? Market itself means that is a price centric thing. If you go back to the market economy, how the market economy is going to be running by price mechanism. That is why price is the hero of the market. So when there is a change in that price, immediately that may have an impact on its demand. In the longer run, they will change their models themselves so that the demand will come back to normalcy. That is why time period also matters is the question. If they have that time of adjusting themselves to this change in the price, then they will do that adjustment. If they cannot do that, then they will reduce the consumption of such product. So naturally it will have an impact on the demand immediately. So that is the time period as another factor. Of course, the consumer habits is a natural point where if the consumer is habitual consumer of a commodity, price will change, demand that for that commodity will be generally inelastic. Particularly, let us say for a consumer like tobacco products like cigarettes and all, if somebody is habituated to that, in general, irrespective of the change in the price, usually the prices of cigarettes and all, they will change every year. They'll keep on increasing every year. But generally the observation is that the demand for that commodity will never reduce because people are habituated to that. So the kind of commodities where people are habituated to that, those will be inelastic. That is another reason why certain commodities could behave inelastic like that. And sometimes the demand could be a tied demand. Tied demand once again can be known as a related demand or dependent demand on the others. So tied demand means what? The demand of these products is tied to some other products. So the goods which are tied to others, they are relatively inelastic. Why? Because they are not having their own demand. Their demand depends upon others' demand. So if let us say demand for cars increases, automatically the demand for tires also will increase. Only demand for tires directly will not be impacted. So when there is a change in the price of the tires, that is one point that directly will not have any impact. Rather, when there is a change in the price of the car itself, that might have a huge impact on the demand for tires. So that's an example of tied demand. Or just for simple purposes, though we are not using them nowadays, ink pen, let us say, demand for ink. Demand for ink will definitely increase when the demand for ink pens increases. And the ink itself is not going to be price elastic. If ink is becoming expensive, people are not going to consume less of that. If ink is becoming very cheaply available, people are not going to buy more of that if they are not interested in ink pens. So what can we say? The demand of the ink is a tied demand with that of ink pens. In that case, such goods are relatively inelastic. They are inelastic. But which type of goods are generally elastic? Those which are having autonomous demand, which do not have any link with others. Those will behave normally. Those will be very much elastic in nature. So what are the tied demand? Another example given: printers and cartridges. So printers will be price elastic because those are autonomous. But ink cartridges will be price inelastic because they are tied with printers. That is also another reason. You can just observe that. That's another actually a strange thing if you observe logically. You take this, printers and ink cartridges as an example, or all-out machine that you use and the all-out liquid that you use. All-out machine is some electronic product, right? That along with the liquid, if at all you get say for 150 rupees, only the all-out liquid itself will be say 80-90 rupees. So actual price of that machine is how much? That is negligible. That is why is that? Because that is price elastic. But what is price inelastic? The cartridges, the refills that we use, those are price inelastic. The original product will be cheaper, printer will be cheaper, all out machine will be cheaper. Similarly, if you consider the air purifier, machines will be cheaper. Machines will be cheaper. But what will be expensive? Those refills will be expensive. Ink cartridges will be expensive. Why is that? Because these are inelastic. Even though they are expensive, people have no option. You have to use them. Sir, where you will go? Once you have that machine, you have to use that. So these will be definitely purchased even though they are expensive. So these will be relatively costly because printers, original machine of all out or a air purifier, those will be having lower prices because those are price elastic. Those are very price elastic because they have autonomous demand. So two words we can understand here: one is the tied demand, second one is autonomous demand. Simply speaking, those products which have tied demand will be inelastic, those products which are having autonomous demand will be elastic. Simple. That is the another factor which will have an impact on the price elasticity of demand. Then another point once again is the price range. That also will be generally there. Like, high price range commodities. Will they be elastic or not? Generally, very high price, very low price. These two will be inelastic. So somewhere in the middle range, they will have the elastic demand. That is the essence of this. So very high price range. Once again, go back to the Veblen goods type. Say Mont Blanc pen, 15,000, 40,000 rupees, 1 lakh, 2 lakhs rupees. Pens are available, Mont Blanc. Some products are there like that. So such type of commodities, they will have high price range. Are they going to be price elastic? No. If Mont Blanc pen originally costing 1 lakh rupees, now increased the price by 10%, now it is 1 lakh 10,000. Those who can buy a 1 lakh rupees pen can also buy it if it is 1 lakh 10,000 also. So it is not going to have an impact on the demand. So they are very inelastic, very high price range, very high. Or very low price range also will be very relatively inelastic. Same thing like salt, low price range, matchboxes, small things, basic necessities, they will also be inelastic. So which will generally have the elastic demand, middle range will have elastic demand. Just for understanding purposes once again, why the market economy mostly focuses on the middle class is also because of this. Because those who are on the highest class, the richest class people are not going to give much of input to the market economy because they are not going to purchase that much. Their contribution to the real demand will be negligible. It will be there, but very negligible. Those who are having very low price purchasing commodities, very poor people, very normal people, their contribution will be very basic. At the maximum, they can buy only food products, basic necessities, but they cannot afford little bit expensive products like refrigerators, washing machines, cars and all. They cannot do that. Who can do that? That is middle range products. So the focus of the market economy, where it can play with the demand using the price as a mechanism, mostly will be focusing on what? Middle range. That is where the consumer goods segment, whether they are fast moving consumer goods or if they are normal consumer goods, either way, the consumer goods segment, which is in the middle range, will be having highly elastic demand. That will be very much influenced by price. If the price is high, people will not buy. If the price is low, people will start thinking to buy it. They'll develop interest to buy it only when the price is low. That is the nature of the commodities. That also is depending upon the price range of the commodities. Elasticity of demand of any commodity will be determined. So what are the factors which will influence the elasticity of demand are these things. Conceptually important, technically may not be, but logical questions definitely will come. So you should be able to identify which category that commodity falls. Any case based question, if it is given, example will be given, and what is your answer on that will depend upon what category. Is it having a lot of substitute? You have to check. Is it like occupying a biggest position in the consumer's budget or not? You have to check. What is the nature of the need of that commodity that satisfies? Is it a luxury product or comfort product, or is it a necessity? That will have to be checked, because that also matters. Does that commodity have many uses? That has to be checked. Can there be an immediate adjustment in the consumer's pattern of spending, or it will take longer time to adjust? That also has to be checked. If it can be adjusted quickly, there will not be a problem. There will not be much of elasticity. If it is going to take a longer time, then immediately there will be a reaction from the consumer. So the price elasticity will be higher. That also will have an impact. Then is it something, the product is something which the consumer is habituated to? So irrespective of the price, the consumer wants to have it. He needs that. If that is the case, then also definitely the price elasticity will be very low. Also, you have to check whether the product is having a tied demand or an autonomous demand. If it has a tied demand, then it will be relatively inelastic. If it has autonomous demand, then it will be elastic. Same way, is this product a high price range or very low price range? So very high, very low, both of them are inelastic. Both of them are inelastic. But which one is going to be elastic? The one which is in the middle range is going to be elastic. Like this. What is the nature of the product? That will determine the price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity is a reality. There is going to be a change in the quantity demanded because of a change in price, no doubt. But the question is, how much? That's what we have to measure, which we did it by using different methods. Then the question is also why it happens. That could be because of many reasons, as we discussed now. Okay, so that is the concept of price elasticity of demand. And of course, the knowledge of the price elasticity of demand is required for everybody. It is not only useful for business managers. For them, it is anyway required. What is that? The knowledge of price elasticity is very much important. Not only for that, it is also important for the governments also while determining the prices, taxes, etc. So they also have to keep in mind. The governments also will have an understanding of the price elasticity of demand of a product. And same with the business houses will have an impact on, will understand what is the impact of price on the quantity demanded. They should understand, because if they don't understand, they will take a wrong pricing decisions. Imagine if a firm's product is having a high price elasticity, and that business owner or manager is going to change that product's price drastically, then their business will collapse. That is going to be a dangerous thing. So they have to understand the nature of the product, which category of the above it is falling into. They should understand very precisely, and according to that category, they should also observe and study whether this product is having a relatively elastic demand, price elastic demand, or relatively price inelastic demand. According to that, their pricing decisions particularly have to depend, because pricing is the very, very important decision in any organization. Always it is a question mark, right? We as consumers don't think about it much. But imagine the seller's point of view, production point of view, producer's point of view. A particular product, that whatever you are buying in the market, let us say you buy a pen at 10 rupees in the market or 20 rupees in the market. How that 20 rupees is determined? That is a big question. Why can't it be 25? Why that extra 5 rupees that seller doesn't want? Is he like allergic to profits? Why can't it be 25? He can make 5 rupees more profit, no? But why can't it be 25? Why is it only 20? Why can't it be 15? Why can't it be 10? All these things are very core questions. They depend upon hundreds of factors, including cost and including one of the factors, that is price elasticity of demand of that particular product, which in turn depends upon all these factors that we discussed today. So very important aspect. And the knowledge of price elasticity is not only important for business managers, for them anyway it is important, because that will ultimately impact the volume of the sales. That is the ultimate objective of any company, any organization. They want higher sales to be performed. And how is that possible? Without understanding the tendency of the product, without understanding the price elasticity of the product. To achieve higher volume of sales, business managers should know what is the price elasticity of demand of a particular product, where it stands, and what the behavior of the product is. They have to understand anyway. But not only them, in fact, even the governments should also understand, in order to put the prices of the products and services they are offering, something like transportation, etc. Nowadays that also almost is privatized. But majorly to understand additional taxes, how they can be actually levied depending upon the price elasticity of demand of a particular product. Now we can just, for example, once again you can understand this. Government levies excise duty, central excise duty, and special duties also on the tobacco products, particularly cigarettes. It keeps on increasing this taxes amount every year. It keeps on increasing. Why is that possible? Does it do on the agricultural products also? Does it do on the normal things like wheat, rice also, salt also? Will it have more taxes levied on every kind of necessity also? Definitely not, because they know that the price elasticity of demand for the tobacco products is very low, since people are habituated to that. When the price elasticity is low, which means the price of the commodity can further be increased without much impact on the demand. When there is no much impact on the demand, the price of the product can be increased. That cushion is there. That cushion is what the government uses in the form of additional taxes on the generally sin goods, they are called, bad goods they are called, like tobacco products, liquor. You can understand the additional amounts of taxes that government levy on the state governments, particularly on the alcoholic products also. How is it possible? Because the price elasticity of those products is very less. Even though they are expensive, since people are used to them, people are habituated to them, they go and buy. Sometimes some people even take loans and then buy them also. That's what we are looking at, some open statements in the recent past in the television channels. So the point is, governments know this very well. The price elasticity of demand for such products is low. So the price of them can be increased further non-stop. They can be increased, keep on increasing them. But how to do that? By levying additional taxes on them. So government revenue will increase, price of these products will increase. One way government will tell, see, we are increasing to discourage people from consuming it, but actually the people will anyway consume them, irrespective of the price. So finally what happens? The people who are consuming them will pay the price for it. They'll have the burden for it. They deserve to have that. They will bear that burden. Government will have its revenue. So the purpose is served. Ultimately, the government's revenue is increased because of that. And how the government is able to do that without any backlash from the people? Generally, normally speaking, when you understand the general and you can say the tendency, when petrol prices, diesel prices increase drastically, of course nowadays they are increasing daily, that's a different story. Drastically, if they increase, suddenly 5 rupees petrol price increased, or suddenly government has increased 5 rupees excise duty on the petrol, something like that. If it happened, though people are not coming on the streets, but at least they express some kind of dissatisfaction publicly. Our television channels will not keep quiet. No, they will put their mic inside the mouth of people. So then people will say, "Oh, what is this? The price of diesel cannot be increased. They're burdening the common man." Like this, 100 people will talk. This is common when the price of petrol, something like that, are increased. But when the prices of the alcoholic products or tobacco products are increased every time, they are just getting increased every time. Every year they are going to be increased. Have you ever seen anybody telling like that? This is going to become burdensome and all. Because even if somebody tells also, that person will be ridiculed. He will not be considered at all. When on the first hand, one person is claiming that the increase in the price of petrol is a big burden on him, and he is considered to be a common man and everybody sympathizes with them. And the second person who is telling that increase in the price of liquor, let us say, is impacting him a lot, and he is facing a lot of problem, and people ridicule him and he becomes a joke of the society. Why is that? Because that is once again the point. This is a necessity, where the petrol and diesel has become a necessity. If there is any increase in that, that is having a high price elasticity, whether it is actually reflected or not, definitely it is a price elastic product because it is a necessity ultimately. So when there is a necessity, there is a elasticity also attached to that, and there people will have to buy it but at a higher price. So the point of conflict happens. The nature of the product is it is a necessity. People should not reduce their consumption because of that, because it is a necessity. But at the same time, people cannot afford that. Their incomes are not matching that. So a lot of contradictions will come when there is a change in the petrol prices or diesel prices. So that is a contradictory thing. Is it a necessary? Yes. Is it really a necessary? No. So is it price elastic? Yes, it should be. But does it really show that in the reality, actual world? No. So it is a lot of contradictions in that. That is the nature of that product. But on the other side, these sin goods or bad goods like tobacco products, alcoholic products, even though the government increases the prices, nobody cares. Nobody talks. Nobody will express their anguish. Even if somebody expresses also, people will just laugh at them. They don't really take them seriously. They just take them as jokers. Why is that? Because this is a product which people are habituated to, and the price elasticity of those products is almost negligible. That is inelastic. Irrespective of the prices, people will consume them. So keeping that in mind, governments know the psychology of the people very well, so they will put levy additional taxes, and naturally they increase their tax revenues. That is how the elasticity of demand will have impact on business decisions. Not only business decisions, even the governmental decisions of levying taxes, etc. So that is the example also here given. For example, alcohol or tobacco products, for example, they are having relatively inelastic demand naturally. For them, the governments will have additional taxes, increase their tax revenues. Like this, elasticity of demand, understanding that, and what is the nature of the product, how this elasticity of demand of this product is going to be influenced, is a very important practical consideration. Once again, from examination point of view, one question can be expected from this, that to a practical question. But in reality, this discussion is very important. The business managers, not only them, the governments also, everybody, even consumers, I would say, actually should be aware of this. Otherwise, the businesses will make us fools, as simple as that. If we are aware of the nature of the commodity, then we can understand why the businessman is doing like that, why he is announcing all these things. What is this sudden love on the consumers that he is giving discount? Why is that? That is all not just because out of love and affection. That is not out of any occasion also. That is because they know very well that product is such a kind where the price elasticity is high. So if there is a reduction in price, people will be buying more. That's what they want. So they will announce the price reduction for such kind of products. So if we understand that in that way, technically, then it will be easier to identify what is happening in the market. So that is the basic understanding of the background, we can say, of the price elasticity of demand. How it happens, we know that. How to measure that, we know that. How and why it happens. Today what we discussed is that why the price elasticity of demand is high in some products and why is it not that high in other products. What is the reason behind it, the conceptual background of the price elasticity of demand we have discussed today. Once again, I am repeating, elasticity of demand is common. Law of demand works. That is true. But the question is all about how strong or how weak. How strong, how weak? How do we measure it? That is elasticity of demand. Why strong, why weak? That is the determinants of price elasticity of demand. Why is it strong? Because of its nature. Is it necessity? Is it not? Is it having close substitutes? Does it have alternate uses? Etc. etc. All these are going to have an impact on why a particular product has a high price elasticity of demand or some other product has a low price elasticity of demand. With that, we can conclude the discussion on the price elasticity portion, which is the most important portion of the entire demand theory and this particular unit itself. And in the next class, we'll continue the discussion on the other types of elasticities like income elasticity, cross elasticity, and also some other elasticities. Any elasticity can be there. Any factor that will have an impact on the demand, we can have elasticity of demand, of course, wherever that factor is measurable factor. So those measurable factors, how they will have an impact on the demand, we'll also discuss those things in the coming classes. Till that time, take care. Bye bye. Thank you very much.